Hey Jews, I want to talk a little bit about the soul and the spiritual information that's in the Torah and what I'm learning and understanding right now through my practicing Judaism, my learning Torah and practicing Judaism. Okay, and how this is relevant for us in our lives and why it's good to learn Torah and practice Judaism. So, from the Torah, we know that reality is 5-dimensional. 3 are physical, 1 is spiritual, and 1 is time. And we know that God made man and woman as both a physical and a spiritual entity, creature, creation, okay? So we have a physical body, and put into our body, basically, is our soul, a spiritual dimension of us, okay? And our soul is connected, our Jewish souls are connected to God and also connected to the nation of Israel in the best case scenario, okay? But there can be situations that happen where we live our lives in a certain way that cuts this connection off to some degree or to whatever degree or completely. Okay? And if we're not connected, if our soul is not connected to the source of life, to God, and to the nation of Israel, then certain things can happen. Okay? And I've done different classes on that, and I've posted also shorts about karet, different types of sins. That's a spiritual thing that we do or don't do that can cut our connection off. Now, I'm not really going to talk about those things right now. What I want to talk about is the results basically of that, what that feels like. So I also have mentioned in several of my different videos that I've been studying or had studied yoga for over 20 years, studied and practiced, just like I'm studying and practicing Judaism now, because I understand that this is the truth. Okay, so I had to unlearn to a certain extent a lot of the things that I learned and relearn them in a different way. And anyway, that's what we have to do when we become Baalei Tshuva, when we repent. And after having lived a different way with different goals and different values and different moralities of the 70 nations, okay, when we don't live as Jews, when we don't follow the Torah, when we don't get our purpose of life from the Torah, when we don't try to then fulfill that purpose of life according to the Torah, which is all how to live this reality, combining our physical bodies with our spiritual souls for a certain amount of time. Okay? So if we've lived our life a certain way that is not Judaism, not like how Jews are supposed to live by the Torah, there is no beautiful plurality of Judaism. There's only one Judaism. We have to learn that in the Torah, and we have to practice that by practicing what we learn. So we have to be teachable. So again, just like I said, when I didn't learn Judaism, didn't learn Torah, didn't live like a Jew, when I repented and became a Baalei Tshuva, there was a kind of a time where I had to unlearn everything that I learned over here and relearn it all over here. How to live my weeks, okay? A certain different calendar, a different way to live my life, okay? My weeks with the focus on Shabbat and the holidays and all whatever, okay? Certain way to eat, eating kosher, blessing my food, okay? Lots of different things, okay? So I was like kind of saying, at that time that I was deprogramming my ideologies basically, and now I have to reprogram myself with the right information, okay? And learning and trusting that this is the right information was also a talich. It was also a process, okay? Because no one, including God, God told us not to believe in him. God told the Jews to learn and understand and look around you and understand and come to the logical conclusion and read as many things as you can from all the geniuses that came before us to understand and to know logically that there is a God, that this is the information, that this is the truth. The Torah is four-dimensional. Okay? Anything that's just written by man, for example, okay, would be one-dimensional, and you'd have to believe. At a certain point, you get to the end of that one-dimensional information, and you have to believe something. You have to believe something, okay? But God doesn't say that to us. God tells us, know today, v'yadatem hayom. At any time, you should know, because this information is also in your soul. Your soul came from God, okay? It's a spiritual dimension of you, okay? It has a connection to God and a connection to the nation of Israel. Our forefathers were prophets. Our forefathers, when they accepted the Torah at Har Sinai, they all became prophets. And since then, there have been thousands and thousands of prophets in the nation of Israel who have left that information to us. Your soul knows that information, okay? So it's just relearning, just re-understanding. So, as I said, so we have to be teachable, okay? So we may have understood the purpose of life and all the things that are happening in our reality a certain way. When we look at reality from what we understand reality to be, okay? Because we program our minds, or they've been programmed for us, okay? We look at reality and we think we see certain things. And maybe what I see around me now is a lot of people waking up to say that's not exactly, it doesn't make sense, okay? With the idea, for example, I'm talking about here in Israel because I feel the need to do some of these videos just as a response to what I'm seeing on social media. What's going on? What happened in October 7th? What happened now? All these things, okay? And I'm not going to talk about that in this video. I have many other videos. But I do want to just talk about the spiritual information, okay? And combining it also with the physical information. What do I know about our physical after learning a lot and studying and reading a lot of books and experiencing and going to a bunch of seminars for 20 years, okay? And trying to understand what's going on there. And then unlearning all of that in order to relearn it over here in the right way, okay? But also taking what I learned and understanding, making it make sense for me. And what I may mean by that. So I'm gonna say a little bit about the yoga stuff, because there is still a type of yoga that we can do in a way that connects all of this, because our physical bodies are very intelligently designed. They're very complicated, and everything is beautiful actually right from the get-go, right from creation, where we know that the mother and father having a baby give the physical element to the baby, the body, and then God gives the soul, okay? And that's what's animating this body, okay? So the physical, so now I'm just going to talk about that a little bit and how this connects, because we have a nervous system in our physical bodies. And I want to talk a little bit about health and disease and how it's connected, because we know from the spiritual information that there are 613 mitzvot. Okay, we're told that the Torah is like a light and the mitzvot are like the lamp. You have to build your lamp in order to have your light. So they go together. This is what I'm talking about when I'm saying learning Torah and practicing Judaism. Understanding how to make this go together in our lives so that we have like a light to our souls are enlightening us how to live this life with the time that we have. Okay, we're not walking in darkness, wandering around, wondering, should we do this? Should we do that? Should I marry this guy? What about that? What are the criteria? What's the purpose of life? What happens after I die? We know all of that, okay? All of that's in the Torah. All of that, all we have to do is connect to that, let our souls light our way through this life to after we die, when our soul comes out of our body, that's what happens when we die. Our soul leaves our body. But how stuck and enmeshed into this body it is, and how pure it is in order to just slip out and go back to God and go to the Olam Haba, which is the eternal world of truth, which is all spiritual. These are principles of Judaism. This is within the 13 principles of Judaism that the Rambam laid out for us. And if you don't know about that, you need to go and learn about that. That is one of the, if you don't believe in any of those, or one of them even, you can't consider yourself as part of the nation of Israel. So you can't walk around thinking like, I'm a Jew, but I don't believe in God. That's not part of the situation here. That's your own delusional understanding of what's going on here. Okay, and we need to be teachable. So we need to understand, okay? So for example, we need to understand that we have a nervous system in our body, okay? And our soul is in our body. But sometimes when there's two. There's a central nervous system, there's a sympathetic, and a parasympathetic. Okay, and one is for active, like fight or flight, if you may have heard, okay, which would mean like an increase in cortisol, increase in adrenaline, all that stuff. When you perceive a danger, usually a physical danger, okay, then all these things happen in your body to get you out of that danger. And the parasympathetic nervous system is your rest and relax. Okay, and we're mostly supposed to just be in parasympathetic mode, just enjoying our lives, eating healthy, living in harmony with one another and with the earth and with God, for example, okay? And just everything's supposed to be working perfectly. When your nervous system works perfectly, your energy flows perfectly to all over your body. And then this intelligent creation that God created heals itself. Your hormones pump out the hormones regularly. Your glands and whatever pump out your hormones regularly in the right amount at the right times. You eat and you digest, and your food's not poisoned. And, you digest everything perfectly, and you're not in fight or flight. Your cortisol's not too high. That's bringing dis-ease when we're stuck in this mode, fight or flight. Now, why would we be stuck in that mode? Well, possibly because we're under fear all the time, and things are working directly on our nervous systems to increase, the level of stress in our bodies. And some of us can't even relax at this point anymore. Okay, some of us can't breathe properly anymore, and you don't even know that you're not breathing properly because you've never put any awareness on it. So we need to be aware, okay, of our world and of reality and of our bodies and of God and of our soul. Awareness is critical, okay? So when we put the awareness into our body and we suddenly slow down our fight or flight reaction nervous system, sympathetic nervous system, and we become aware of our breath, we may notice that it's shallow. We may notice that there's pain in our body, but because we try to cope and try to get away from pain, we maybe don't have any awareness about that and about what's really causing it, what's the source, okay? And so those areas are dark. They're like dark spots to us in our bodies. Other things that can happen is that we can't regulate our nervous system anymore, and it's like spiraling out of control. Always panic, always fear, always chaos. And then we see the effects of this in mental illness. Okay, mental illness. Okay, so all confusions about this now. Gender confusion, anger issues, ultra sensitivity to everything. I mean, just no regulation of the nervous system, which is what we're seeing in our reality, okay? Because it's fear-based, because we're all in fight or flight, because we're all unhealthy. There's a lot of dis-ease. Because we have neglected the spiritual. We are not connected to the source of life. We are not relaxed in rest and relax mode. We are not aware. There's a darkness in our bodies, and there's a darkness, bichlal, in our understanding, okay? So what do we do to become aware, okay? So, for example, there's things that you could do physically. You could become aware of your breath. You could deepen that. You could relax. You could learn techniques that would help you become aware of the parts of your body that you're not using, that are dark to you. For example, a lot of people, their inner arms and their side muscles are very contracted. For a lot of us now, our whole bodies are, from sitting too much and from being contracted and from not breathing properly, not moving properly, are contracted and dark. Okay, and we know that, like I said, when we die, our soul leaves our body. And it was explained in Loaz, I'm going to put some of these things in my description, that when we die, our soul basically says goodbye to each part of our body. And after it says goodbye to that part of the body, because the soul basically fits inside the body like a hand inside a glove. Okay? And when everything's healthy, so when your body is healthy and working properly, and there's breath there, and there's energy flow there, and there's blood supply there, and everything's working perfectly in your body, then your soul fits in there perfectly. Because we know also that you can damage your body by damaging your soul. When each mitzvah, okay, things to do and not to do, are connected to each part of your body. Okay, so we are told actually that when we have an illness, when something's wrong in our body, what we have to do first is to look at our deeds and see, where did we go wrong, okay, when following this guidebook, the Torah? Where did we go wrong, maybe in the mitzvot? Did I cause any sins that may have damaged that part of my body? And we have different stories, various stories of different rabbis in our past. And forgive me, I'm not here to teach you Torah. I'm here to tell you need to learn Torah. Okay, but so I'm not going to give the exact source, but I remember I read a story about a tzaddik, of a wonderful sage or rabbi in our past, who had a toothache. So he told his wife, "I'm have to go to the doctor." So he went out and he just went to the field and he started praying to God, and he started thinking about what could he have done that would have damaged his tooth. I mean, that's a level, okay? That's a spiritual level. That to understand and to be aware that everything is spiritual first. And that's the only thing that's going to continue on to Olam Haba. The physical has a time expiration date. The spiritual does not. The spirit is free, but the spirit also knows, the soul knows about God, knows the truth of the Torah, is trying to get you to learn that information. But if you're not learning that information, if you're not living by that way, there's things can also be damaging your physical body, and your soul could literally be saying goodbye to those parts of your body, right? So you have pain there, you have no awareness there, you have no energy flow there. Okay, it's like, in a way, little by little, that part is dying. We should be feeling rejuvenated every day when we get up, because when we go to bed, we deposit our souls with you, God, until we wake up again in the morning, where you trust them to us, you put them back in our body, and we live another day to try to have some awareness of this fact. Okay, so we need to start understanding that there's a connection between the physical and the spiritual. The whole thing is connected. Everything is connected. Everything that's going on around us in our realities, in our personal lives, everything has a spiritual source. And we have to ask ourselves, are we connected to the source of life? Are we healthy? Are we happy? Are we joyful? Are we at peace? Or are we living in fear and chaos? Are we at dis-ease? Or are we seeing that our bodies can heal themselves? That our bodies have an awareness? That our body and our soul go together And we want this connection with our souls. We want our soul to fit in our body like a hand in a glove, and animate it and rejuvenate it and keep our body healthy. Okay? And then when it's time for our soul to depart at the end of our lives, it simply slips out and goes back to God. Okay? Clean. Free of any damage that we may have done, because we repent constantly. So let me know if you have any questions.